What is going on? What is going on? Aftermath Media. Aftermath.fm. What's going on? Good to see everybody. How are you doing? My name is Billy Ray Valentine. This is the Infinite Fringe live right here on Aftermath.fm. All the way from the Bronx, New York City. It is a pleasure to be broadcasting to you guys today, to be talking to you guys today. And we have a very special show with a very special guest. Tomorrow, we're back on again tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before Clyde Lewis, ladies and gents. Come on and take a look. But right now, I have a friend of mine. I haven't spoken to this gentleman in quite some time, actually. But I respect his research. I respect what he does. Brand new book coming up, and he's going to tell us all about it, ladies and gents. First time here on Aftermath.fm, so it's his maiden voyage here. Let's give him a warm welcome, okay? Mr. William Ramsey is here with me. William Ramsey Investigates on YouTube. William, how are you doing? Greetings to you. Blessings. Thank you for coming on the show. Say hello to the people.
Well, hi. Thanks for having me, Billy. It's great to talk with you again. Blessings and greetings to you as well and your audience.
Oh, thank you, man. We appreciate it. We appreciate what you do. And, you know, we have talked about a wide variety of stuff, and you've branched off lately and have been investigating things that, you know, typically you wouldn't have done, at least not earlier in your career here, if I can call it that. I don't know what to call it.
Investigative reporting.
But you know, right. You know, so you and I, you know, spoke about 9/11 several times because, you know, that's a soft spot in my heart for that event, what happened on that day, because, you know, I'm here in New York. I was there when it happened, the whole deal, and you know, you put me on to the Aleister Crowley ritual that may have taken place on that day, and you broke that down really, really well. And that's how, you know, you and I became acquainted. And, you know, coming close to September 11th, I want to have you back here on Aftermath.fm, and we can break that down on that level. And
anytime,
what's that, sir?
Yeah,
absolutely. I know I could count on you for that. But you have a brand new book out. I want you to tell us all about it, and we will, you know, discuss it just a bit today. Tell us what's this new book you got out?
The title of the book is Global Death Cult: The Order of Nine Angles, Adam Waffen and the Slaughter of the Innocents, and I just published it in May. And it traces really, I mean, if there was a book blurb, it traces the foundation of kind of a new occult group from the UK, kind of national socialism in the United Kingdom, to a kind of global presence of today in 2021. So it started maybe in 1980s. So it's kind of a post-Aleister Crowley, post-Adolf Hitler doctrines, and kind of an original group, really, original religious group, the Order of Nine Angles.
The Order of Nine Angles. Now, I heard about this, actually. I remember, where do I remember this from? The mainstream media reported on this. There was, I don't know if there was a murder.
Yes.
I'm missing it.
Well, it is interesting that you bring up the media, because one of the reasons it caught my eyes, it's been in the news recently. There have been a number of events that are influenced by this group's ideology. There was 2 murders in Canada, or at least one, but maybe a second one by a guy by the name of William von Nudegem, who was influenced by the Order of Nine Angles. There was an attempted terrorist attack that was thwarted by a guy who was in contact with the ONA. His name was Ethan Meltzer. He hasn't actually been tried yet. He's being held in the Southern District of New York, the same jail. I think he's at the MCC, the same place that Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, that's completely safe. You'll be fine there.
Well, yeah, you're right. And so it's been in the news. So this group, and then Adam Waffen was kind of a group that was a kind of was really a National Socialist group that has also been in the news for a variety of different reasons. There's been arrests, there have been crimes committed by them, and so I really just kind of included them in it. And some people may have heard stuff vaguely, but I really kind of go in detail about these kind of recent arrests and things like that. And there's been a number of murders associated with Adam Waffen and deaths, and there's actually still a trial going on here in California, a guy by the name of Woodward.
I think that's right. Tell us about that one. I think that's, listen, I remember this at the height of the Proud Boys and a bunch of others. They were linked to this. It was linked to like a white
Yes.
supremacy type thing by the liberal media.
Well,
I remember listening to it and saying the Order of the Nine Angles, and there was an occult
yeah.
aspect to it as
Yes.
well. And I remember looking into it, and I was like, man, what is this? And then I left it alone because I got busy, so I never went back to it. But now that you bring it up, man, I can't wait to read your book because this is interesting as hell.
But
Anyway, go ahead. What were we gonna
it's
say?
kind of a fascinating event. This Adam Waffen group really started in 2014 and 2015. It's supposedly gone and made a new group. They dissolved it in 2020, but they were involved there with a number of deaths. There was a young man by the name of Blaze Bernstein who was really savagely murdered in a park in Orange County. And they had this alleged killer's name is Samuel Woodward. And he hasn't even been tried yet. He's sitting in jail. But he had connections with this, I would say in part, occult influence group, Adam Waffen, influenced by these doctrines of the Order of Nine Angles, which is this new group, kind of newish, modern occult group. So their doctrines, they have kind of a contempt for humanity. I would call it almost like a reordered Nazi kind of outlook, where if you're not part of their group, you're part of what they call the mundanes. And they have this idea that humanity is broken up between them and the Homo hybridi, so they have kind of a contempt for people, and they have this really idea about culling. I think it's a central part, in my opinion, it's a central part of their doctrines that they can cull people, which is kind of like a murder. So there's a lot of strange literature with this group that are instructive literature. One's called Lurker of the Night. And a lot of their crimes, they all happen at night too, which the Adam Waffen crimes and these Order of Nine Angles. So there are similarities between these criminal acts and these doctrines. And it has popped up. So like, as you may be aware, the present administration is very much against their version of white supremacy. But I think on their radar, there was, after I had an interview with the guy by the name of Igor Sarsky in August of 2020. After that interview, there was a kind of document that was put out by the NCIC, counter-terrorism kind of group in the U.S. about the Order of Nine Angles, and they regard it as kind of an international threat, or definitely a national
Yeah.
threat in the United States. And some of these crimes are happening all over the world. Thus, why I called the book "Global Death Cult."
Now, all right. So I'm on the Wikipedia page, right? Just looking it over real quick. And the first thing, I mean, they make reference to satanic, right? A satanic left-hand path occult group based in the United Kingdom. And you already said they were based in the United Kingdom. But what do they mean by satanic left-hand
Okay,
path?
so the left-hand and
What is
right-hand path actually come out of Hinduism. So like if you go on the left-hand path, you're kind of down an occultist dark path. So that's how that term originated. And definitely I would say that the origination of the group is satanic. In my book, I talk about their doctrines, but they actually are kind of an esoteric Nazism as well. So you'll see these kind of satanic rituals, but also praise of Hitler. And they time like like you and I maybe time our time AD, after death of Christ, or Common Era, CE, but they call it the Year of Fian, or Year of Rejoicing. It has a variety of meanings, but it's traced from the birth of Hitler, 1889. So there's definitely a Nazi influence at the inception of the group. How much of that is around today, I think, is arguable, but I think at the inception of the group in the 70s and 80s, I think that it's really was there. But it's definitely satanic. If you read through my book, they have all kinds of rituals. Right. They have these books. One is called the Black Book of Satan. So it's pretty much writ large, this kind of satanic aspect of the Order of Nine Angles.
Now, do they believe in an actual physical Satan, or are they more like the Church of Lucifer, the Church of Satan, that believe in a certain ideology, but not necessarily the entity Satan?
Well, I think that I would argue that they do believe in some type of spiritual entity. They also believe in dark gods. So in their original documents, they have these 21 dark gods that they supposedly come from the Middle East. So almost like the Sumerian religion, like this idea of dark gods, which they distinguish from Lovecraft, but they're almost Lovecraftian in their common understanding, at least in my understanding, and they want to presence these dark gods on the earth. That's really one of their goals, is really to kind of have the dark gods return to the face of the earth.
Now they have, they have some type of reverence for
Yes, no
Hitler,
question.
as you've
Yes.
yeah,
I
no,
would
there's
almost say
no
that they
questions.
kind of
Right.
reformatted like the ideas of Hitler, like the Untermenschen or the subhumans,
Yeah.
into kind of a newer, more modern sense. I think the concepts are almost synonymous, but it's like they got repackaged so they're not as obvious and overt, if that makes sense.
Explain to us the concept of the subhuman.
Well, I think it comes from Hitler. So, like, there were different root races. Like, the whole Nazi vision was, Aryans is supposedly the top. It's almost like a racial caste system. And so they adopted that from Blavatsky, and she got it from somewhere else. But it's supposedly their outlook. And then it's like they're subhuman, and you can treat them differently. So Hitler had this kind of master race, slave state idea. And I think that duality, that dual view, like we're the best and the other people are not, and we can do whatever to them, is within the Order of Nine Angles, at least in their doctrines. And I actually have a section in my book that's all it talks about is just the like I break down the fundamental doctrines of the Order of Nine Angles, and one of their fundamental doctrines is really how they view what they would call the mundanes.
Interesting. The reason I asked you that is because you made reference to gods from the Middle East.
Correct.
Now,
Sumerian gods.
if
Like, for example, they would
yeah,
have, like, I have a little chart of their gods and there's the sigils for their gods. So they would have Noctulius, Mithras, Shugara, Satanus, as Alsoth, as an Agin. So they would have these kind of spiritual entities that they do rituals to. Like, if you're practicing the ideas
right.
of the Order of Nine Angles.
Now, I want you to talk to us about the initiation rituals that they have. But before we go there, I just noticed that they worship a goddess called Baphomet. Now, it doesn't look like the Baphomet that you and I would be, well, not necessarily you and I, but most of the alternative media people that listen to shows like this. When we think of Baphomet, we think of, the as above, so below
Right.
hermaphrodite goat thing that, what is it, Eliphas
Right.
Levi,
Right.
right,
Right.
created. This Baphomet that I'm looking at right now looks very different.
Yeah. So
And
is
it's,
she
it's,
holding a
go
head?
ahead, tell
Is
us
she
about it.
holding a head? Is that the picture? Okay.
She is. She's holding a head. She has 4 arms. She's holding a sword, and she has some type of necklace around her neck. I don't know what it's made out of, and she's standing on a man.
Right. She's standing on a beheaded man. Do you know who that beheaded man is? This is the
No idea.
esoteric Hitlerism, is von Stauffenberg, the person who commonly we understand the Valkyrie operation to overthrow Hitler, the attempted assassination of Hitler. I think it was April 1944. And if it had been successful, the war probably would have stopped a year earlier. But so that's their Baphomet is holding von Stauffenberg. So it's kind of their, and just to be clear, this group I don't think is very large. I think
Yeah.
the actual members are probably 1,000 to 2,000, according to other researchers. However, I do think they're dispersed around the world in what they would call a
Yeah.
Nexian. I would liken it to kind of like a cell, like a group cell, maybe of communists or right wingers or something. But they have that. But the thing is, these Nexians are all over the world, so that kind of follows into my general theme of a global death cult. But you'll see
Yeah.
that kind of Nazism promoted, and actually, the guy who kind of started it, who is really the core person or one of the core people who kind of formulated the doctrines of the ONA, his name is David Myatt. He was actually associated. He has something from Otto Riemer, and people who know Nazi history. Otto Riemer was the person who opposed von Stauffenberg and his group to try to overthrow Hitler. Otto Riemer actually followed Hitler's orders and then arrested a lot of the conspirators. So
Well,
this group
go ahead. Continue.
is tying itself back to Nazi history.
You're doing an excellent job at explaining this, right? But what I am a bit perplexed about is that this god that they call Baphomet, the goddess, it kind of resembles Shiva,
Shiva,
right?
right?
Shiva, like may Shiva bless you,
Kali,
right, with her many hands,
Kali
or Kali,
right,
the goddess of destruction and
yeah,
rebirth.
they knowingly reference that. They knowingly do that. Like they like it.
Right. So I mean, all right. So I want you to pick up on that point and explain it for us. But also, on the tail end of that, I want you to, if you can, clue us in. Like it doesn't make sense, right? If they are white supremacists and devotees of Hitler, it looks like they're worshiping ancient Hindu gods and they're talking about the Middle East. Now we can go to the whole, Aryans and the Middle East theory, Iran and where that name comes from and that it's actually Aryan and I guess maybe this is where this is leading. I am not sure. So I want you to explain that to me, but go ahead and just take the floor.
Well, you could say Nazism has a lot of influence of esotericism. So I think that esoteric strain is continued within this group. And so I think that this view was definitely kind of like originally was white supremacists. Now they're like different ethnicities, but still kind of I think the core would be termed today white. So, but yeah. So I think that they have a long-term goal. They have this idea of a dark imperium, 300 years from now. They're set again. They believe in their doctrines, or they're above the law, and that they're kind of juxtaposed themselves against the Nazarenes, which is I think the Christians or maybe even the Jews, and the Magian society. So they see the kind of influence of Judeo-Christianity as a negative influence, and they view themselves differently. So they do have long-term goals, and within the group. I mean, whoever put this together, whether it was somebody using a front. Somebody of high intelligence, in my opinion, put all of this together. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's very clever.
You think this is organic, or you think it was put together?
Well, that's when you get into a deeper thing that's beyond my capacities as a guy just sitting in front of a computer with I mean.
Well, I'm asking for your opinion, not necessarily fact. Here we can speculate. We can swim out to Speculation Island and join Jimmy Jean over there. So I'm just asking for your opinion on this, if you care to give it.
I do have an opinion. I mean, I would say intelligence agencies do create, groups. They do create things. I do think that I mean, I don't want to get into details, but some of these groups with ideas are intel fronts. I mean, the sad truth, maybe the Finders. If you remember the Finders kind of pedophile group, that clearly was an intel front, according to the research that I listened to. And that was a whole group with a whole bunch of stuff. So there may be intel connections to this thing where, I mean, that's kind of like the Wilderness of Mirrors kind of realm where, it gets really deep. Who's getting involved in this, what people are getting involved, who is getting tested, why are they getting tested? However, I do think that there are individuals out there, at least today, who have digested ONA ideology and acted on it without ever being managed or handled by an intel person or anything like that. So, yeah.
Wow. We're speaking to William Ramsey. William Ramsey investigates on YouTube, and he's talking to us about the order of the
I got kicked off of YouTube, so I'm now on podcast. So it's William Ramsey Investigates. The best place is iTunes.
Wow, who doesn't get kicked off of YouTube at this point, right? Everybody's getting kicked off of YouTube. What good is that place? What good is it?
It's not worth your investment or time, ever.
Exactly. If you are a content creator and you're listening to this right now, and you're putting your eggs in the YouTube basket, and I'm sorry to go off on a rant on this, pull them right out now, and start investing in other platforms, man. And try to, maybe try to build your own somewhere. To be honest with you, William, I'm on iTunes as well. I don't know how long.
I don't either. I think we're the next place that they're going to try to censor is the podcasts.
Exactly. Right. So I don't know. So we need to stay up. This is why Aftermath.fm is very, very important, right? So we can still have a voice. We can have a platform where we can talk openly and freely about subjects like this without people trying to censor us. And we can have educated debates about whether or not these things are legit or not, and whatever. People can make up their own minds and go about their business instead of being
I'm a researcher,
cut
and I think
off.
somebody just flagged some of my videos from 4 years ago. So they were old videos that were brought to me that I got my strikes from. So they were sitting there for
Holy
4
moly.
years. So and they said I was bullying and harassing. I think I was. That actually, to me, is they're defaming me, because I don't think I bullied and harassed anybody. But that was their excuse to get rid of me for videos 4 years ago. If I was bullying and harassing somebody, they were actually complicit in doing that for allowing my videos to be on their dumb site for 4 years, right?
Right.
Anyway, they were terrible to me. They said I was suspended, and I kept sending them emails. I've got the whole email chain for 30 emails. When is my suspension over? When is my suspension over? And it took them 3 months to tell me that I was terminated. So they kept me dangling like that. And I know they did it intentionally. So these are evil people. Don't get me started. I don't like YouTube. I don't like Google. I'm trying to get away from these people. They are terrible. They had all the benefits of this country of laissez-faire, free market, free speech, but they cannot pass it on to you. And the legal system and Congress are disgusting for allowing this to happen. And I praise DeSantis in Florida for passing the law that they just passed. I think it was yesterday. Sorry.
Well, Mr. Ramsey, I don't trust that guy as far as I can go. Yeah. So just it might be the best we're hearing right now, but I have no faith in him, and I don't have faith in any politician for that matter. But you know what? Just to make the point here, YouTube is not the thing. It's never been the thing. It isn't our platform, so it's not going to take care of us in that fashion. We need to create our own platforms that take care of us and cater to us and what we do. And that's open-minded discussion. The global death cult, William Ramsey's, fantastic so far, man. This is fascinating because I remember over the summer of 2020, at the height of COVID, at the height of all the unrest that was going on, the racial unrest with Black Lives Matter and Antifa, and everything else that was going on, and then the Proud Boys came out of nowhere. There was the Boogaloos, and I think those were the ones that were somehow linked to the order.
Oh, was that right? I wasn't aware of that. So
I'm not sure. I'm not sure, William. I'm going off the top. So as soon as I get off the broadcast, I will send you the links to where I heard this originally.
Well, my book,
because it was definitely linked to some white supremacy thing.
There's no question about that, and I do cover kind of the American Nazi movement. George Lincoln Rockwell, who was one of the Nazis. In the U.S., he was killed. I mean, at least Nazis get killed by the other Nazis. But so I do cover that in my book, and I do cover some of these recent cases. I know that the Boogaloo case that happened in Northern California, that was definitely a Boogaloo guy who went and attacked like a federal building in Oakland, if you remember. I think this was it. I never heard if he was ONA, but I need to look at. But here's another case that this guy hasn't even been tried. He was arrested June 22nd, 2020. His name is Ethan Melser, and he was communicating secret information to members of the Order of Nine Angles. And it's right on the Department of Justice website. You can see it, and they had a picture of one of the ONA books, The Sinister Tradition. That includes the Black Book of Satan that I mentioned earlier. So these guys are at least reading this information. Yes.
Wow. This is insanity.
Oh, that's a recent one. So then there's another one, a guy who was at Charlottesville, and he had a connection to the ONA too. So they say that he had some kind of familiarity with this kind of ONA stuff.
Incredibly interesting. We're gonna merge over to the other side in just a bit. Everybody in the chat, we're gonna get to you. We're gonna talk to you. We're gonna say hello. And we're going to say thank you. And then we're going to let William take the floor yet again. I want to ask him why this has been put into the consciousness of the mainstream, right? Because at one point it was being pushed that way. And let's not forget about this subject because it may resurface when they deem convenient, in my opinion, the mainstream media. So I want to ask him why it leaked over to the mainstream. We're going to do that on the other side. And we're going to talk about the initiation rituals. They're supposed to be, from what I'm reading, sacrifices, like human sacrifices. I want to get into all of that and find out. Plus, I want to know why they named themselves the Order of the Nine Angles. Very esoteric, very occult. What is going on? We're back right here on Aftermath.fm. Carson, if you were wondering, that was T-Rex. Children of the Revolution. This was one of the biggest selling bands in the UK throughout the 70s, I think. I wasn't alive at the time, but I went back and researched some of this because I was fascinated by it. The guy died, the lead singer died in a car accident and put a hold on their career, but they had some legendary, put an end to the band, I should say. But they had some legendary songs. That was Children of the Revolution. It's fantastic. I love that track. William, are you familiar?
Yeah, with the band, but no, I don't remember that song. No.
That's a song they did with Elton John. Elton John was on the piano and doing the backup vocals to that. It's fantastic. I love that track. It's yeah. So I play it whenever I can. My name is Billy Ray Valentine. This is the Infinite Fringe, live right here on Aftermath.fm. We have William Ramsey's with us, ladies and gents, and we're going to continue with our conversation in just a little bit. But first, we have to get to the chat and say what's up to everybody. All right, who do we have here? Bob, what's going on, Bob? NW14, how are you? Carson, greetings and blessings to you. Hope you're well. Chris from the UK, what's going on over on that side? How you doing? Farmer 2.0, what's good, buddy? Ghost Bushido. Wow, that's a cool name. Ghost Bushido. Haterazzi's here. What's up, Haterazzi? Mr. Gates, what's going on? It's Real Now 2 is here. What's going on? Good to see you. Jimmy Jeans JG. What's going on, JG? How you doing? Lisa, how you doing, Lisa? Mona Lisa, can I get a date on Friday? And if you're busy, I wouldn't mind taking Saturday. Hey. What's up, Lisa? How you doing? And Moose Girl. What's going on, Moose Girl? Greetings to you. Always love seeing you in the chat. Rasputin is here. Did you know that, William? Rasputin.
The real Rasputin.
Joining us. Yeah, absolutely. He's here to listen to, he wants to learn about the Order of the Nine Angles, so he's hanging with us. Rich is here. What's going on, Rich? Ryan, what's going on, Ryan? Ryan Yanez. The Tesseract. What's going on, Tesseract? You don't have the Tesseract. Stop lying to me. Stop lying to me. If you had the Tesseract, you'd be changing reality right now. You know what? And I wouldn't know it. So you probably do have the Tesseract and changed reality. What would I know about that? And Wolfman is on here. What's up, Wolfman? How you doing? Greetings and blessings, all of you guys that are here. And everybody listening, wherever you're listening, we very much appreciate it. Thank you very much. We will be back tomorrow live, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right before Clyde Lewis. Mr. William Ramsey's, how are you, sir? William Ramsey's Investigates, no longer on YouTube, so do not bother. Go find him over on Apple Podcast and anywhere else you can find a podcast. He has a new book out, The Global Death Cult, ladies and gentlemen, and we're talking about it now. It centers around the Order of the Nine Angles. Now, William, so you hear a name like this, right? The number 9 is very, very esoteric, right? It has a lot of you know what I should have done, William? I'll do this next time. I'll play the Beatles number 9 over and over again, right? Before we get into something like that. But tell us about it. How did they pick this name? How did they come about it?
Well, like 9 is the power number, right? It's the top of the individual numbers. So 9 is like, and you see the 9 satanic principles that are in the Temple of Satan or the Church of Satan. But their idea, at least as they put it in their earliest documents, is that the 9 angles comprise the 7 planets, and including the sun, without the moon, Mars, Jupiter, Sun, Venus, Mercury, Saturn, but also 2 different gates, man and then a stargate. So they have a kind of, at least at their inception, have a kind of cosmic, solar system kind of outlook where they use this, they distinguish these terms causal and acausal. So causal is kind of our what I'd be analogized to our temporal world, like what we see, and then the acausal is like a spiritual world. So there's gates to this other world, and that's where the dark gods are. So you're trying to open these gates and draw down these dark gods.
Incredible. Why do you think? Because we covered briefly, but we covered it, the Nazi side of this and how they, there's Nazi sympathizers in a large part, but just to build a bridge over to that and steer away from this for just a second, we'll come right back. Why do you think the Nazis were so obsessed with the occult? They had they were searching for the Spear of Destiny, the Ark of the Covenant, the Holy Grail.
So, and in Irby, they even had like an administrative body to do that, to go search for it. I mean, that was one part of it. But I think that was where they got their power. Honestly, I think that they were part of the right wing. The Nazis were part of the right wing in Germany. But what distinguished them from like the Christian right wing was they were, a lot of them, Hitler, Himmler, were into the occult and power. And I think that that's what got them to power, was their reliance on violence and all these very dark aspects, and their hatred for other people is it's very similar to, in my opinion, Nine Angles' outlook, and I think that obsession is there. Hitler had this book by Schertl called Magic Theory and Practice and something, so he's reading that. We know we have this book exists at Brown University where he's outlining all these weird phrases. And Himmler had a 12,000 book library that was found, I think, in Czechoslovakia. And so it's interesting that you bring that up because Himmler created this kind of, for the new man, this occult new man that they were trying to create, which Order of Nine Angles is also trying to create a new man, very similar to Nazism. They created, Himmler built this castle in Wewelsburg. And in that castle in Wewelsburg, there's something called the Black Sun. It's kind of like a symbol. It looks like and some of these guys from Atomwaffen in Germany have been filmed or pictured on top of that Black Sun symbol in Wewelsburg, where the SS used to have these rituals. So you can see this continuity in action of the modern current day kind of members of the far right and the Nazis. So I think that kind of occultism is very, I think in other groups, I mean, maybe like the Christian right, it wouldn't be comfortable, but in those far racial rights, I think it's much more acceptable. Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just saying, I mean, you can go in, it gets very deep because even the foundation of the Nazi Party was an aggregation of these other kind of occult groups, Thule Society, and these other people who were interested in kind of border science, which is a term I learned from Eric Kurlander, who I interviewed. And he wrote a book, Hitler's Monsters, The Supernatural History of the Third Reich. Very fascinating book. It's very scholarly.
Wow.
Yeah. And so he talked about border science, but all of these ideas of Ariosophy. And some people who've also read and critiqued the Order of Nine Angles have noted its similarity to Ariosophy, which, according to some scholars, Hitler was involved in, with these kind of early German mystics, von List, Guido von List, and some of these other characters were, and the Ostara was their kind of this magazine that supposedly Hitler had all of their copies of, and he was very influenced by it. So, it led to some of the greatest monstrosities in human history. Really, it's not that long ago, 70 years ago, 75 years ago.
Right.
But
there are people that are still alive that experienced that.
Definitely are people. I mean, the guy who was in Nuremberg, one of the lawyers, is still alive giving interviews today. He's like 100 years old.
Wow.
But
incredible.
Yeah, so it's kind of, I feel like this group is small, but I think that it's like these ideas are coming around again. And Atomwaffen was pretty big. I mean, decent size. I think there were 80 members in the U.S., but they had these other divisions and influences through the world. So they had the Sonnenkrieg division, Führerkrieg, and interestingly, like I was writing the book, watching the Australian government ban Sonnenkrieg division. Like, you cannot be a member of that group in Australia, or you're exposed to 10 years in jail. That would be your punishment. So
wow,
these things are happening now. It's kind of like, for me as a researcher, it's like, wow, there's another one. Here's this other case. So it's something really I think that the public has to be aware of for a variety of reasons, the dangers inherent of it and these dangerous ideologies. And if you look at the Nazis, you're not supposed to be sympathetic for the Germans, I suppose, but they got destroyed too. So the Jews had the Holocaust, the Poles were, decimated, the intellectuals were all killed. Do you know that 1/8 of the population of Russia died during World War II?
Yeah, I've read things like that. War is not good for anybody.
So, and then the Germans, they had their country decimated and their mass rapes. I mean, just terrible stuff. So these ideas are very dangerous, and you want to stay away and definitely be aware that they're out there, I think.
Right, and if we're not aware of them, we can't do anything about them if we're not aware of them. So you make an excellent point, right? And I want to ask you why you got so interested in this that you wanted to write about it, because while it was covered in the mainstream, to a certain degree, I think you're the only one in the alternative media that I know of that's ever touched this. I didn't remember it. I think we mentioned it on a Fringe once in passing. That there was this new Order of the Nine Angles, and it was a cult, and we needed to look out for it, and that was it. So no one's really touched it. I want to go to the chat real quick. Some people had some nice things to say. Lisa in the chat, the 9 code. 9 is also 0, the beginning and the end. Right. You know that's very
Right,
important.
9/11, very, very numerologically potent numbers there, right? 9/11. So the 9 and the 11 is
Right.
the number of magic, 5 and the 6 together.
There you go. There you go. And Jimmy Jean said something very similar. 666 18 9, the 9, right? And it also reminds me of the Ennead, right?
Yes.
Just thinking about it now, the Egyptian Ennead, the 9 gods that started civilization.
Yes. Yeah. No, it's yeah. And the Ennead, the symbol of the Ennead looks somewhat similar to the Order of Nine Angles symbol, right? The different angles. Have you ever
Wow.
seen that?
Yeah. I haven't. I see the Order of the Nine Angles symbol, but not the Ennead symbol. I got to go back and look at that. Let's finish this up and let's get a little bit more on the conversation here with this. I want to talk about the rituals. Like, I mean, how do they go about selecting their members? How do you get into something
Well,
like this, right? Like,
it is interesting because I mean, go to your original question. How did I get involved? Somebody reached out to me, Igor Sarsky, in August
right.
of 2020 and said, hey, there's this group, might be tied into some of your research. And I said, okay, what is it? So then you can hear my 2 interviews with Sarsky and me trying to get a handle on this group. I had already, as you know, I'd already looked into the occult of West Memphis 3, Aleister Crowley,
Right.
9/11. So I kind of felt like this was something that I was capable of trying to get my hands around. But so that's why I wrote it. And then there are kind of rituals and groups. Like, it started, I mean, imagine a pre-internet group. All they're doing is writing manuscript after manuscript. So somebody writes a 2-page on certain concepts, maybe the difference between the dark gods and Lovecraft. And that gets compiled into manuscript on manuscript, becomes a book. And they're sending it out from P.O. boxes for people. And it just slowly gestates and grows. And some people come in and out, they get tested, just like any other cult, right? Is this person going to be an insider?
Yeah.
Where are we going to place them in this group? And then the internet comes around, and this place already has all of its doctrines and ideas, and then the internet starts disseminating those. And the manuscripts become individual books, Naos, Black Book of Satan, and then it just grows and grows up till today. And then it just, like I said, it surfaced around 2019, 2020 as these guys are involved in the Order of Nine Angles. So at least that's what's public. You don't know what's going on. I don't know anything out of what I research in my book or any other criminality, but that's kind of what caught my eye. But I do think it's a dangerous group. And I do think, like I said, some of these people who have these ideas are dangerous. So one of their central core concepts is this idea of insight roles. So an insight role is when you try to gain, through the Order of Nine Angles or anybody, to gain experience through action. So some of these people's insight roles are to join the military so that they can further their experience and knowledge. So they go join the National Guard or Army or something like that. Some people will become burglars or robbers. And that's just to further the interest of the cult through those skills that a person develops. So you'll see this kind of similarity in some of these groups where they're clearly trying to infiltrate the U.S. military. In my opinion, they're clearly trying to infiltrate the U.S. military and gain experience very recently. So I think that idea or that concept has disseminated itself in the far right.
Yeah, man. This is definitely something to keep an eye on. Let's see how it bubbles up later on.
Well, the government, there's an NCIC document that was published by the this group. It's the I'm trying to remember what the name of the group is, but it's basically a document that goes into the ONA, and they say it's a dangerous group and people need to keep an eye on it. And so if you look in ONA in the news, there's very recent articles talking about the ONA. But let me see if I can find this. There was a push recently to ban the ONA on April 9th of 2021. So that's fairly recent. But this document, let me see if I can find it. Anyway, it's really a fascinating document to read because I think they kind of got a grip on how dangerous the group is.
There's a lot of I'm just scrolling through the internet and reading things about them off and on, and there's a lot of people saying that they have ritual sacrifice to kill people, to sacrifice people to something. I don't know if that's a membership initiation type thing or it's just a run of the mill thing that they do. Do they even do it? Is this vastly exaggerated? What
Well,
do you
if
think?
you read their
They also talk about sexual
right,
abuse
so
too.
there's sexual magic involved in that, much like Crowley. So there's sexual components to their ideas. But if you read, like a section in my book, it really just talks about concepts within the ONA, and they call it culling. So you cull people, and that's what distinguishes them from other satanic groups. And they have tons of. Here's the like a concept here. If there's this is from ONA literature. If there's one thing which expresses the essence of the satanic ethos, it is culling. And if there's one way to detect a pseudo-Satanist, it is their attitude to culling. So, I mean, even in this section, I say the most disturbing aspect of the Order of Nine Angles is its promotion of human sacrifice, something they refer to as culling, a term borrowed from animal husbandry. So yeah, it's there. I mean, it's an element within the writing. The document that I was talking about was titled "The Order of Nine Angles Playing an Influential Role Among Some RMBEs," which is a ethnically motivated or racially motivated violent extremist. And this was from the declassified from the NCTC on November 12th, 2020. So fairly recent.
Wow.
People
So we only have a little bit of time left. You've done an excellent job breaking this down here, and I'm interested as hell, to be honest with you. After I've read the book, I think I want to have you back on here. And I know you're going to make cameos on the podcast and over on America Unplugged, but after I've read the book, I want to have you on here to discuss it a bit further, and especially the occult aspects of this, which are the most fascinating, because people use this ritual magic and they expect things from them, and sometimes they get them,
Right.
Mr. Gates and I were just talking about that not too long ago. What's up, Mr. Gates? I want to know real quick, and this is speculation, but what do you think the end game of this is? Right? They're being introduced to the consciousness of the people here in the United States and possibly around the world. Right. And I don't know how you feel about this, but when the mainstream media starts putting something out, I start getting cautious as to why they're putting it out, because there's always an agenda behind it. What do you think that is?
Well, I mean, I think that the concept of this group is to accelerate kind of the downfall of civilization, and it's kind of for them to rise up out of the ashes. So I think that their goals are not good. They are malevolent, and people need to be aware of that. And they had like a 300-year long-term goal idea where they were going to create a dark imperium, supposedly, with all of their followers. So I think that people need to be aware. Whether the mainstream media is slow to action, I don't know what they're putting out, but I just think for the run-of-the-mill, the alternative listeners and the alternative media, they need to know about this group and its baleful influence. I think that they pollute the psychosphere, and there's a lot of elements to this group that aren't what you would think in a traditional Nazi who marches in the street with a swastika on. Is much different. A lot of they have these kind of learning fables or learning fiction, which is fiction but operates in real life, and all these guys are up to no good in the middle of the night. They go out at night. It's almost like the fiction is a training material for people to do evil things at night.
Man, let me tell you, I'm not looking forward to this spreading and growing. I hope it doesn't, but unfortunately, it probably will. It's the Infinite Fringe right here on Aftermath.fm Live. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Billy Ray Valentine. You can find us here every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern, ladies and gents. And Mr. William Ramsey's our guest. Tell them where they can find you one more time, sir, and everything you want.
Yeah, if you would like to buy a signed copy, you can go to my website, William Ramsey Investigates. I also have a version on Kindle right now. I'm just waiting for the final edit of my book to have done, which should be done in the next few days for sure. But all my interviews that I've done from YouTube are now on podcasts. So wherever podcasts you get, you should be able to find William Ramsey Investigates. And you can find the two interviews I did with Igor Sarsky, who's very knowledgeable about the group. And he's definitely influenced me as well. So it may be worth people's time to just, if they want to sit back and listen to those interviews, you can find them on iTunes or any podcast.
Fantastic. I'm going to make sure I go over there and listen to some of that. Want to say what's up to Barsky in the chat. What's going on, my dude? How you doing? ETDM is here. What's going on? Coding is here. iSolo. What's going on? iSolo. Who else? Let me see who else is here that I missed. Nepo is here. What's going on, Nepo? Also, Jake Tam. Also, Jakium or something. What's going on? Outlaw Rides. The Outlaw is always riding. What's going on with you? Let me see who else is here. Sunspots. What's up, Sunspots? How you doing? Solos. What's good? The kid is here. Let me see. Have anybody else? These people have creative names, but it's all good. Ace 8010. What is going on? All right, it's the Infinite Fringe. We're gonna ride on out of here. William, man, it was a fantastic show. I had a great time. I learned a lot on this one, and I think a lot of the people did too. Because while this is being pushed into the consciousness of people, I don't think a lot of people know about it just yet. We're catching it right at the cusp before it blows or before they do whatever it is they want to do with this order, man. Let's keep an eye on it. It's all things we need to know. The Infinite Fringe, Clyde Lewis is up next, ladies and gentlemen, and that's always good. Aftermath.fm, after Clyde Lewis, it's my dude Jimmy Jean. You guys stay up, stay woke, but not in the woke sense that the Democrats say, okay? In the real sense. So hang with me. See you guys tomorrow, Lord willing. William, do not hang up. I'll talk to you in just a bit. It's the Infinite Fringe. Take it easy, guys. Thank you for hanging with me.